nothing about this process has been rushed. We have been very, put a lot of time into figuring out what's best for 600 Block. And I think we're at a point now where we can't go any further without getting some expert opinions on this. So just for clarity here today, we have I'm Les Casmore from representing the Boardwalk Merchants, Chuck Bangle also representing the Boardwalk Merchants, Janet Lane representing the Chamber of Commerce, Bill McGinley representing the Restaurant Association, Caitlin Brooks representing the downtown, and this guy right here representing what happens next in 600 Block. But before we can't even get to that step without doing something about the current situation at 600 Block. So we feel that there's an urgency for this, not just because of the developer has urgency. Ocean City has urgency. There have been 4 stores that have closed already, so we weren't quick enough for them. There's a 5th and a 6th that are on their way out the door, I'm told. And if we don't have progress in direction about how we can handle that block, there will be more. And I think it's really important that for Ocean City, for the business community, for the residents of this town, for us to keep moving the ball forward. So with that, I'll open it up to.
So I represent the Downtown Merchant Association, and I just want to kind of get some facts out there too, is that, when we first started talking about this, over a year ago, a lot of merchants were no. And I think we've done our due diligence, and we've been learning the facts, and as we've been learning the information behind why it's important for our council to move this forward, is to keep the ball rolling for Ocean City, and also so we can get as much facts around this property as possible. There is a subcommittee that has been created by council. Their work will continue if we continue to push this into redevelopment, and that is really what the vote tomorrow with City Council is this property, should we send it to redevelopment and send it to the professionals? And I think we as a merchant community and the business community, we are just looking to see that process move forward. And from my perspective and from what we've been hearing is that there is an urgency, and I don't think that we'll be able to keep this developer engaged in our process and in our community if we don't see progress.
My name is Bill McGinley. I represent the Ocean City Restaurant Association. And I've been getting a lot of feedback lately is where were we in August? So anybody that's in the tourism business knows where we're in August. We're getting our what handed to us. So we kind of left this alone at that point because in our minds this was a no-brainer. Me and Wes talked with the gym all the time. We just assumed this was going to go through as this is no-brainer. This is going to work through. Well, we learned a hard lesson. So now as a business community, we're moving forward, and now in December, we're readdressing this, and we rely on tourism. Like, I don't make a dime unless there's tourism in this town. So we need to move this forward tomorrow night in a positive way. There's nothing bad about this, and this still doesn't guarantee Mr. Mead is going to get a hotel. All this says is that we want this to study to see if this property needs to be redeveloped. And if anybody knows the property, anything you do that needs to be redeveloped. And that's all we're asking council to do, is look forward for our city and the community, businesses, and think about the tax rates here. This is huge for if you live in this town, to keep your taxes down. So this is all we're asking for in a very positive way, is continue to move forward and allow tourism to flourish in Ocean City. Thanks.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for coming. My name is Chuck Bangle. I sit with Wes as the VP of the Boardwalk Merchants, also the Boardwalk Merchant on the Boardwalk. We wanted to have the press conference, why I spoke to most of you yesterday, is to show that we are a unified front. Every major organization supports the redevelopment of 600 Block of Ocean City. We also wanted to clear up any dissemination of information out there that the vote tomorrow night, and some of you asked me this, is for the hotel. It's furthest thing from the truth. We're asking that it get voted into the planning board, and let planning board start the process. Is it development? Is it rezoning? Whatever the case may be. So regardless of what is built down there in the future, it has to go through the same process that we're asking City Council to vote yes on. And it's unfortunate, as my colleague Wes said, we have lost 4 merchants at that end. Myself personally, the 8th Street end of the boardwalk is slowly dying, and it's going to take a handful of years before whatever is down there to be built. We don't want to see anyone else suffer any hardships or lose any more business than they have to. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jenna Galanti. I'm representing the Greater Chamber of Ocean City, and I'm just going to keep it short and sweet. We have voted unanimously to support moving to ask the council to redevelop for redevelopment and move this plan forward.
As Wes said, welcome, welcome, welcome. I have to start out by saying, I think this is the most excited I've ever been as a developer. And the reason I'm excited is because I've seen finally for the first time in my life that the silent majority has spoken. I can tell you I've never seen it. We've had some good wins. We've developed in Park City, we've developed in Nantucket. I'm a hometown boy, been in Ocean City all my life. The Mita family, my Uncle Paulie was 92 this week. He was an Ocean City lifeguard. And our grandson, also named Eustace, which has been very hard on him for the last 2 years, he's an Ocean City lifeguard too. And so here's why I'm excited, because not only has the silent majority come out, for the first time in my life, and I had a meeting with 2 other big developers in Philadelphia this morning, and neither one of them said they've never seen where the entire business community has come out in favor of a project and it's been turned down. Like not 1% of the time. We have the boardwalk merchants who 2 years ago said they weren't going to vote on it. They voted on it. Yes. We had, as Caitlin said, Asbury Avenue said they weren't going to vote on it. They voted on it, a yes. Chamber of Commerce a year ago said they weren't going to vote it. They voted on it, a yes. Restaurant Association bill, a yes. That's representative of 100% of our city. Last week we had something rare. We had the opening of a new store on Asbury Avenue, Kerry Design Studio. And it was unbelievable, the turnout. We had Senator Testa was there was assemblymen, and they all asked me the same question. What is going on with 600 Boardwalk in Ocean City? And I answered it the same way. I don't know. I mean, it's such an easy, we're not talking about a hotel. We're talking about moving the single biggest site on the boardwalk in America's greatest family resort into a zone where it can be developed. Because right now, you can't put a nail in a board on this site. You can't touch it. It's literally zoned, one thing is amusement park, which is never going to happen. I spoke to Jack and Will Morey over a year ago, and they said to me, and I said, listen, how about a joint venture? Will Morey, as you know, is also county commissioner. And that's another thing. The spotlight is not just on Ocean City, it's on the entire Cape May County and the entire South Jersey. What is Ocean City going to do with the single biggest site on their ocean? And I think the answer is simple. It's very simple. A yes vote tomorrow means one thing. Has nothing to do with the hotel. It's let's not sit here and do nothing. Let's get this site into redevelopment, rehabilitation, so that we can move forward. In August, there was a no vote to move it forward. In September, I got a call from several city officials who said to me, Eustace, we'd like to meet with you. And I said, great. What do you want to meet about? 600 Boardwalk. I said, okay. So they came in and they said, we think we misread the intent of Ocean City. we think the populace and the business community really want this. Would you hang and see if we can get this done? And I said, yes. I mean, I'm an Ocean City boy. How about 30 days? They said, no, how about 60 days? I said, okay, 60 days. That was September 15th. 60 days has come and gone. That's November 15th. And we still have no action. So tomorrow is the seminal vote. But it's also a seminal point, not just in Ocean City, but in Cape May County. Are we progressive? Tourism, our number one revenue generator. Number one, supported tourism, hotel rooms. Number one spenders in each one of our cities, whether it's Cape May to Longport, is the spending of the transient. And you have to support. We've lost over 70% of our hotel rooms since 1990. This is a very big financial move, and I said that I would continue it if we have a decision November 15th. We didn't have it. I said I would continue this until the vote tomorrow. And this isn't anything but, I get mad at myself when I don't follow good business principles, and I'm violating my own principles. But if we get a vote tomorrow, and it's still going to be a long haul, I would stay in with hotels. If we get a no vote tomorrow, I mean, my family, we own the site, so certainly I'm going to stay in, but not as hotelier. At that point, we have an offer from both Ryan Homes, one of the top 5 national home builders, and also from the Norcross family. And so we'll move forward, but it wouldn't be with a hotel, it would be with residential. Thank you.
I'd like to open up for questions if anybody has any.
Yes, sir. So I heard one of your representatives say that we have to push the plan forward. I heard just now possible residential. What's the idea? What's the plan?
Right now, again, you can't build anything. You could almost say the site's been condemned because it can't be used as an amusement park anymore. So what that means is redevelopment allows the city to control the site, not the developer. That's why I think we're all sitting up here confounded as to why isn't it a unanimous vote? Because the only way that site doesn't get boarded up and sit there, I spoke to the Robb family last night. They have 5 stores. 3 of them are not going to renew on our block. And the reason is because it's a dead part of the city right now. So if you are a city official, if you're on city council, what's your job? What's your job as mayor? It's to encourage commerce. It's to encourage building. It's to encourage businesses to come here. If you leave the biggest site in Ocean City dead, where's the encouragement? There's no plan B for me as developer, Bill. The next thing, but I've been told by several council members that they, if it wasn't a hotel, that they would want residential there because it's in a residential area. And we have 2 big financially able companies to do it. And I would stay on to bring it through the process, but not as a hotel. Best case scenario, we get a yes tomorrow. Then we immediately would go to the planning board. I would anticipate the planning board is a fast action board. Let's call it 60 to 90 days, and they would recommend that it go forward in some way, shape, or form. And then let's say they agree. Again, now it's out of my hands. The city could say, yes, we want a hotel, no, we don't want a hotel. So I had already spoken to city council and said, hey, listen, it's not our whole business philosophy. It's not your idea or my idea. It's the best idea. So if you have some ideas with the hotel that you'd like to see, then bring them forth and let's all sit down and put it together. But let's do the right thing for Ocean City. Let's not worry about egos. Let's do the right thing for Ocean City. And the right thing for Ocean City, no matter who you are, is that this goes into a redevelopment rehabilitation zone tomorrow night.
So again, you're talking about the planning board taking up 65 days.
Yes. I think we could go, Bill, we could go as quick as 6 months, and we would do that. get right on. Well, it started. You can't build it in 6 months. It's going to take 18 months to build it, from the time that you break ground to the time that you build. Yes. So you're 2 years away from the hotel. Now let's go the other way. If it doesn't get approved tomorrow, I've been told by several members of city council it's probably going to wait until election time. That's way into next year. So we certainly can't wait for that. I've been down this road before in development, and then it's wait till the next election, then it's wait till the next election, and 20 years go by. I can confirm that. I can absolutely confirm that. And I told him that I would hold off, yes. I gave him the exact date, and I gave the developers the dates too, or the home builders. I said, I promised city council we'd go 2 months till November 15th. That was the date, not hearsay. November 15th is come and gone. I've been contacted by both Ryan Homes and Norcross. The 15th is come and gone. What are you going to do, Eustace? I said, give me another week, December 4th. Does Macy's Doug Ingles? Yeah. No, I can't elaborate. It's been, there was an offer in the paper of $25 million, and Ryan's was substantially higher than that, and Norcross is coming with a higher offer as well.
Throughout this whole process, there's been concern from the community about the historical aspects of one within the scale of that aspect. Can you speak to, are you still committed to incorporating the Ferris wheel, the carousel, some of these elements that emotionally mean a lot to the community?
Well, you know what? Emotional means a lot to me, too. That's why a developer should never get emotional. If I was from Avalon doing this project, it probably would have been approved by now. But I'm an Ocean City guy. So the answer on the rides are as follows. The carousel is 100 years old. That is a true, over 100. It's a true antique. Very few of them made by Philadelphia Toboggan Company. That alone, we would put in its own enclosure. We have actually purchased, because we thought this was an easy decision. A year ago, we purchased 4 additional kiddie rides. The first wheel, the big wheel as it's called, we've been, Chamber of Commerce asked me if we would donate that to the city and let them put it in front of the high school. So if that's what they wanted to do, we would, obviously comply with that. But as far as the carousel and the rest of the rides, they're going to stay there. When I say stay there, they'll be placed, all over, hopefully the hotel. Yeah, we have, I don't want to get into it, Bill, but they're Batman rides. They're very, if you go to, they're very expensive, but classy kiddie rides. I'm glad you asked that question, Bill. There's nothing wrong. What's that? There's nothing wrong with it, but we were, we talked about a master plan, and again, fool me once and I'm the fool. The subcommittee's fine, and to study the boardwalk is fine. They should continue their study, but that has nothing to do with 600 boardwalk. If they study this thing for another 3, 4, 5, 7, 10 years, one thing remains clear: that site has to go into redevelopment. And there is no other site in Ocean City, and I would challenge anybody on this, on the boardwalk, on the ocean, that would even qualify as a redevelopment site. I'm still named in a lawsuit for wrongful death, from somebody fixing equipment up there. It's the site, it's got to move on. It's got to move into redevelopment. Let me get that to our president of the boardwalk.
So, as a member of that subcommittee, I find it to be very important to do I find it very difficult to do our work right now without the planning board's input. I think we've met, almost weekly since it was formed. 600 block obviously is an important part of that, and I need, and I think members of the committee would like to see, some members of the committee at least, would like to see what the planning board has to say, because during this whole process, they're having like a lot of opinions on what's best for over there. I think we need, it's time to bring in the experts. And then, once we have that input, I think we're much more able to do our job. We have planning board members on there, yeah, but we want to hear, the whole board, like, needs to do, no one is actually, the planning board's not going to take a deep dive onto 600 block until council recommends that. So until that happens, I feel like it's basically a planning board issue, and until we have their input and council brought them in, we're not going to feel like we're just waiting. Yeah. Well, when I joined this committee, it was with the understanding that 600 block had urgency to it, and we could be doing that while we were also looking at the entire boardwalk at the same time. And I feel like how 600 block fits into the boardwalk, because right now what we know for sure is it will not be as Wonderland. So I feel like we cannot really speak for myself. I cannot do my job on that board without that input.
That's correct. That's correct. No matter what, whether it's townhomes or hotels or arcades, every one of those has to go, and everything has to be in a redevelopment zone, because right now it's zoned for one thing, amusement. That's it. Or retail, yeah, but that's, you still need, I think the Robb family will tell you, they can't support retail right now. There's not a big draw down there, like the hotel would be. So, yes, you can put stores there. Who's gonna rent them?
There are groups in town that are proposing various amusements to keep that as an amusement. Have you received any offers from them to purchase your property?
No, thanks for asking that. I've read recently in the paper that they have offered. I have never, ever received a written offer or a verbal offer from any of the protesting people. Not one.
So one thing I think we need to bring clarity around is, again, the process that we're discussing. So we are asking council to move this forward so that the planning board can vote to continue to vote on whether or not this property is in need of redevelopment or not. I think what is important to know is that if we don't move that forward, then the discussion with the developer on that topic basically ends. So a yes vote continues to have that conversation, and the work of the subcommittee and the work of the master plan does not end either. That those processes also continue, but getting it into redevelopment actually brings the developer and council both to the table to negotiate, and until that process happens, the negotiation can't start.
Bill? It was 150 million 2 years ago. That number has gone up as that whole building cost. It depends on the configuration. As it sits right now, probably closer to 170 million. You know what? I don't want to do that because I don't want to embarrass him, but we're in a press conference right now, and I can tell you that there's people sitting up at this table with me who were in that meeting. And we discussed the specific dates. And that meeting took place in our offices in Marmora on September 15th. And 60 days from that is November 15th. That's a fact.
Les, if the vote goes yes, Thursday, National Council are closed to maybe on the way out. Do you think that stops bleeding? Do you think that gives hope to the Senate?
Yeah, I think a lot of this, great question, Drew. A lot of this is about things like that. Like, if I wouldn't personally go there for free right now because I have no hope on anything right. As it stands today, if there's a no vote, there's no light at the end of the tunnel down there anytime soon. However, you know, a lot of people have seen it on social media, have seen it in like city council meetings. They have their ideas for what you can do down there in the meantime, and how you can help the people down there in the meantime. Because like Mr. Mita just said, this is really what tomorrow represents. It's kind of like the starting point. Like, so we got a ways to go, but there won't be a second step without that. So if there was progress, and if there were hotels along the way, that would give people like, okay, maybe I gotta suck it up for a summer, but by maybe next summer, construction starting, things like that. And I think people, I know me personally, if I was like an Ocean City truther coming here every year, I would definitely be walking down there just to see the progress. And you're passing all the businesses while you go down there. Nothing is going to drive people down there more than that. And it's probably not even close. All the other ideas are not really sustainable, and they're not really like, just a lot of moving parts, and it's not really viable to save those people. But every single person will come on this boardwalk, and they would walk down and see what's going on down there. So they'd be excited about it. So yes, I think it would be incredibly helpful for them. It is what we're trying to do right now. Like I feel terrible for the people that have already that are pulling out, and I get it, and I'm nervous for the people who are still there that they know what they're staring at right now. So I think as a business community, I think we all see that, and we all understand how this all works together, and how without that, I don't see a way.
Real quick, I think everybody in this room knows how this property looks right now. I think everybody in their head envisions it. So just think about this. Tomorrow's a no vote, and that property sits the way it is right now for the next 5 to 10 years. What does that do for Ocean City? There's nothing positive about that. This needs to move forward for the entire community, not just the 600 block. This is for about the entire community of Ocean City.
Mr. Mita, what happens tomorrow if it's... What happens if
Well, if it's a no tomorrow, the hotel debate is over. But it will continue to be a site that has to go into redevelopment, rehabilitation. But the no vote tomorrow means they're saying no to a hotel.
So my understanding is that some sort of discussion that had been going on, and then Councilman Blanchard 2 weeks ago came forth during a public comment that let's revisit this at the next meeting. We can talk more about what the problem is after these discussions that you had with him and other members. And then the second question is, you're talking a lot about urging the council to actually act. How confident is the party that we're going to get this?
If you'd asked me that a year ago, I'd have said 100% we're going to get a yes, no, because there's no negatives to it. But I've been more surprised than anybody. As Bill Barlow from AC Press asked, there was some, question, was there really a meeting? So we just gave him dates. I can tell you that I never spoke to Councilman Lovechuck. I had no idea that he was going to do that, and I think he may be here. And if he is, maybe he'd like to comment on that himself. Jody, would you care to comment on that?
Sure. From where?
Okay, would you please come up? And I appreciate the question.
We're going to wrap it up after this, guys. Okay. So.
Pardon me, Bill, but I didn't hear your full question. I was at the back of the room. Can you repeat the question, please, that I'm answering? I'm sorry, who are you? Oh, hey, Eric.
The question I think I posed was, I was trying to see if I could get someone to talk more about what kind of led you to ask 2 meetings ago to give this a reconsideration. Because I'm hearing, I think all of us are hearing meetings, discussion, private discussion, that I think it sounds like the consensus I'm getting is that people are kind of surprised that you came before the meetings and let's reconsider this at the next meeting. So
Sure, and I could understand how, to the general public, to a lot of people, it could seem like a night and day change. But that's just not the case. I think these people at this table did a wonderful job illustrating the timeline of how long this has been going on. Also the fact that, I didn't have all my due diligence in order on August 21st. Okay, I made some recommendations on that date. Those recommendations have been coming to fruition. And here we are in, early December, a week and a half ago, Thanksgiving time, where I got to a point as one individual, one city council person of the city, that this needs to be revisited for. I got a book of reasons, and it took a full. I did a podcast the other day. I was on the Ocean City Local podcast where, for about 45 minutes, I discussed pretty much everything that you just asked. So I'll spare everybody the time. You can catch a lot of that information through the podcast that I was invited on to, as well as at the council meeting a week and a half ago, almost 2 weeks ago. I think I really answered that already between those two things. But the short answer is, I'm going to tell you, I did 100% of my due diligence. The community has spoken, I believe. Sure, there's people who are horribly against it, okay? But that doesn't represent, that's a segment of the community, and I respect their opinions. But every business leader in this community who has done remarkable, let's call them century-style things, name brands in this town that make people come here. You're hearing their opinions, you're hearing their facts that they're delivering. And I'm in full compliance of agreeing with everything. We don't agree on every single thing, every bit of this. This is just to take an obvious eyesore, an obvious situation, and I'll tell you with my fullest credentials in the amusement industry, that size land is not viable in today's marketplace for what it is currently zoned for. So no matter what is going to happen there, this has nothing to do with me favoring a hotel. This has nothing to do with me favoring this gentleman here, Mr. Mita. None of that. It has to do with me doing my due diligence, common sense, and my professionalism and the credentials that I have in this business and in this town, and specifically on this board. It is in dire need at this point of something that the government function needs to do. No matter what happens, Mr. Mita decides tomorrow, he's had it, he's selling the property. It doesn't matter who the property owner is. Zoning attention is needed at that property. And same thing, they've mentioned that there's ideas that have come from the public. That's great. We could work with a lot of those ideas. At the end of the day, guess what they need? They need the same zoning attention Mr. Mita's asking for the property. So what are we doing? What are we doing? I don't regret my vote on August 21st. I made the right decision that day. Needed more time, needed more looking at things, and needed some goals to be accomplished that I had mentioned that day. We did all those things, so here we are. Is there ever going to be people that are against this project? Is there ever going to be a good day to get this ball rolling? No. So here we are. Anybody else have any other questions, or Wes said we're going to wrap it up?
Just to be very clear, you plan on voting yes tomorrow?
Unless something crazy happens that we haven't talked about, then yes, I'm in full support. I'm sorry? I don't speak for any other council person. I speak for myself. I hope that they've considered the opinions of all these people up here at the table. I hope they've considered the opinion that I've delivered, and you know what, we're a democracy, so if they vote no, that's the way it goes. I respect their opinions. Of course it's going to be good. That's why I'm hoping that they agree, or at least 4 of them. I don't know, because I'm not calling other council people and asking them what to do. They have a constituency, and they're going to follow that, not what Jody Levchuk's asking them to do. This is just my opinion, based off of my constituency and my due diligence.
Hey, Jody, we need to wrap this up.
We need to wrap it up. Thank you, everybody.
I just have a couple remarks to close.
Yes, there is a conflict. It's called emotion. And it's a bad business principle. And sadly, that's what I've been following for the last 2 years. But you get to a point where I have to follow good business principles. So if we get to the yes vote, it could take could take another 6 months to a year. But if we get the yes vote, I personally think the hotel is the best thing for Ocean City. I've talked to the Cape May Chamber of Commerce myself and said in all of our barrier island towns we need more hotels, and that in fact each city should designate, if it hasn't already been done, a hotel motel zone, and in fact should float bonds at a very low rate, because the number one revenue generator in all Cape May counties is tourism, and the number one support is hotels. And even Cape May has lost over 40% of their hotel population. So it's something that's happened so slowly we've ignored it, but it needs to be done. Thank you.
Folks, before I give just a few remarks to close, this young lady, am I right? To
The
clarify.
gentleman who asked the first question about the plan, I think I said that, just so there's no misunderstanding, the chamber supports the redevelopment plan. We're asking that it go to the planning board. I wasn't referring to the Icona plan. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Jan. Walking out the door this morning, my wife said to me, I want you to relay a message to your fellow BMA as well as to yourself. That you're all born with 2 ears and 1 mouth and use each in proportion. During all this commentary, I was looking out over the ocean, and I'm going to close this meeting on this remark. The beach erosion is being addressed ASAP. Why? To bring tourists back to the beach and to Ocean City. It's not going to planning, it's not going to redevelopment. We need to fix it immediately. If we continue to let the erosion of the boardwalk continue, what's that going to do? People may not come to the beach, there's nothing to go to after the beach. So again, we are a unified front, all the associations, and all we're simply asking is that the 600 block of the boardwalk be considered by the redevelopment, the zoning, by the planning board, and stop the bleeding, let's stop the erosion. Thank you everybody for your time.